Did you know that one of America's most brutal serial killers was drinking buddies with the very cops hunting him? In 1972, Edmund Kemper was a regular at the Jury Room Bar in Santa Cruz, California. Standing 6 feet 9 inches tall with a genius IQ, he'd buy rounds for off-duty detectives and discuss their ongoing murder cases. The cops loved him. He seemed genuinely interested in criminal psychology and offered helpful insights about the killer they were desperately searching for. What they didn't know was that Kemper was the killer. By day, he analyzed crime scenes with his police friends. By night, he stalked college students, using his clean-cut appearance to gain their trust. For months, this deadly game continued until April 1973. That night, Kemper bludgeoned his mother to death with a hammer, then cut off her head. Hours later, he calmly called police and confessed to all 10 murders. The same detectives who'd shared drinks with him suddenly realized their friendly crime enthusiast was the monster they'd been hunting all along.
Did you know that XXXTentacion recorded his own death prophecy just hours before he was murdered? On June 17, 2018, the 20-year-old rapper walked into a Miami recording studio for what would be his final session. The atmosphere felt different that night. Heavy. Dark. As he laid down vocals, his lyrics became increasingly disturbing, talking about death, betrayal, and friends turning into enemies. Between takes, he confided to his engineer that he felt like someone was watching him. He kept checking his phone, growing more paranoid with each notification. Then the threatening messages started coming in. Text after text from unknown numbers. His hands were shaking as he tried to focus on the music. The next day, June 18th, he left a motorcycle dealership in Deerfield Beach. 2 gunmen approached his black BMW as he sat trapped in traffic. They demanded his Louis Vuitton bag. When he resisted, they fired multiple shots through the window. He was pronounced dead at the hospital 20 minutes later. That final recording became his most chilling prediction. Did you know a millionaire rapper died while running a massive food stamp scam? In 1995, Old Dirty Bastard stumbled onto the MTV stage, clearly high, interrupting Sean Colvin's acceptance speech. "Wu-Tang is for the children," he slurred before security dragged him away. But behind his wild persona was something darker. While selling millions of records, ODB was secretly running an elaborate welfare fraud operation across New York. FBI wiretaps caught him coordinating fake identities and stolen benefits worth thousands. He was literally a millionaire collecting food stamps under multiple names. His drug use spiraled out of control, leading to arrest after arrest. On November 13, 2004, he collapsed at a Manhattan recording studio. Witnesses watched helplessly as white foam poured from his mouth. Paramedics rushed in but couldn't save him. He was 35. The overdose killed him instantly. Only after his death were the federal fraud charges quietly dropped. His criminal empire died with him.
Did you know a podcaster accidentally solved his own grandmother's murder while investigating cold cases for strangers? David Ridgen hosted Somebody Knows Something for CBC, diving into unsolved murders across Canada. For years, he interviewed families torn apart by violence, searching for answers they'd never found. He never imagined his own family was hiding the darkest secret of all. During a 2019 family reunion, his cousin mentioned something strange about their grandmother's death in 1954. She had supposedly drowned accidentally, but the details never made sense. Ridgen turned his investigative skills on his own bloodline, uncovering witness statements police never filed. There was also a suspicious insurance payout his great-uncle received right after the drowning. At that same reunion, Ridgen kept his recording equipment running during conversations. His great-uncle, dying and guilt-ridden, confessed everything on tape. He had drowned her during a property dispute, holding her head underwater until she stopped struggling. For 65 years, the family killer had sat at every holiday dinner. Ridgen's tools for solving strangers' mysteries had exposed his own family's horror. Did you know a master con artist once escaped from an FBI building using nothing but his shoelaces? In 1974, Frank Abagnale was escorted into the federal building in Atlanta for what seemed like routine questioning. The facility was supposed to be escape-proof, with multiple security checkpoints and armed guards at every exit. But Frank had been studying this building for weeks during previous interrogations. He knew the elevator maintenance happened every Tuesday at 3 p.m., leaving the shafts temporarily accessible. During transport, he used psychological tricks on the guards, convincing them he was actually an undercover federal inspector. Then, between floors, he slipped his restraints using a paperclip hidden in his sleeve. He pried open the emergency panel, tied his shoelaces and torn shirt sleeves together, and rappelled down the elevator shaft. By the time guards discovered the empty interrogation room, he was already blocks away. The FBI launched an 8-hour manhunt, searching every building in downtown Atlanta. Frank had exposed a massive security flaw that forced them to redesign their entire transport protocol. One con man had outsmarted the entire federal system.
Did you know a mild-mannered math teacher robbed over 50 banks and never got caught for 30 years? By day, Carl Gugasian taught algebra to teenagers in Pennsylvania, grading papers and explaining equations. By night, he transformed into America's most successful bank robber. Using military tactics from his army training, he spent months watching each target, timing guard rotations down to the second. He rehearsed escape routes through the woods behind his house, wearing full tactical gear. His pattern was perfect, only hitting banks on Fridays before holidays when police response was slower. On his final heist, he entered wearing military fatigues, threw smoke grenades to confuse everyone inside. In under 90 seconds, he grabbed $9,000 and vanished into the forest. For decades, the FBI had no leads, until one profiler noticed something strange. The robberies only happened when schools were closed. They cross-referenced teaching schedules with robbery dates. Carl Gugasian, the quiet math teacher, was finally arrested after living this incredible double life.
Did you know one man beat the FBI 4 times in court and walked away from a life sentence? John Gotti Jr. was just 28 when he took control of America's most powerful crime family in 1992. His father, the infamous Dapper Don, was locked away for life, leaving Jr. to run the Gambino empire. The FBI watched his every move, recording thousands of hours of conversations and gathering testimony from insiders. They were certain they had him dead to rights. But then something incredible happened. 4 separate federal trials, each one ending the same way. Hung juries, acquittals, not guilty verdicts that left prosecutors stunned. Meanwhile, Gotti Jr. played the media like a violin, appearing on talk shows as just a regular businessman. The evidence seemed bulletproof, yet somehow he remained untouchable. In 2009, he finally made a deal, admitting to racketeering but walking away with only house arrest. He became the first major crime boss to formally retire and avoid prison, the only man who outsmarted the system itself. Did you know that thousands of people watched a mass shooting happen live on their screens, unable to help? On April 3, 2018, several YouTubers were streaming from the company's San Bruno headquarters. Everything seemed normal. Creators chatted with viewers, working on their latest videos. Then gunshots echoed through the building, caught live on multiple streams. At first, streamers thought it was construction noise or some kind of prank, but the sounds got closer. Panic spread across their faces as reality hit. Viewers watching from home became the first witnesses, frantically calling 911 while their favorite creators dove under desks. The chat exploded with terror as thousands watched helplessly through their screens. The shooter was Nasim Aghdam, whose own YouTube channel had been demonetized months earlier. She blamed the company for destroying her income and came seeking revenge. SWAT teams surrounded the building as streamers whispered updates to their audiences. For the first time in history, a mass shooting unfolded in real time before a live audience. The digital age had created something horrifying. Viewers traumatized alongside the victims they'd never met.
Did you know a rapper's final Instagram live predicted his death just hours before it happened? On November 5th, 2020, King Von was celebrating in Atlanta, flashing stacks of cash and talking trash about his rivals. He had no idea he was living his last day. That night, he rolled up to Monaco Hookah Lounge with his crew, feeling untouchable. But Quando Rondo's gang was already there, and old beef was about to turn deadly. Surveillance cameras caught everything as words turned to shoving outside the club. Then gunshots erupted in the parking lot. Vaughn took multiple bullets to his chest and leg, dropping hard into the cold asphalt. Blood pooled beneath him as he struggled to breathe, paramedics rushing to save him. But it was too late. His death that night sparked a nationwide gang war between Chicago and Atlanta crews. One Instagram Live, one final celebration, then everything changed forever. Did you know that buying cookies for your mom can get you killed? Young Dolph had a simple routine every week in Memphis. He would drive to Makita's Butter Cookies on November 17, 2021, just to pick up treats for his mother. It was the kind of loyalty that made fans love him, but enemies had been watching. For weeks, local shooters tracked his every move, knowing his predictable visits made him an easy target. That afternoon, he pulled up in his camouflage Lamborghini, completely unaware. A white Mercedes followed close behind. As Dolph walked toward the bakeries, two men stepped out and approached the storefront. They opened fire through the windows, unleashing over 100 rounds. Dolph tried to escape, but his body was hit multiple times as bullets shattered glass around him. The shooting lasted only minutes, but it ended the life of one of Memphis's biggest stars. His death shocked the city and showed how community loyalty can become deadly in rap culture.